All right. Well, we've heard about Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali. Who's third on the list?
Well, third on my list, this was a bit tough because there's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys, and they literally put their heart and soul into this career. And so it's really hard to determine who is my top five because I probably have top 100 or something of that sort. So, anyways, at number three, I'm going to put in Iron Mike Tyson. What
Good,
do you think, Graham?
good shot. I like him. I like him. I know he went through a bit of a, let's call it a difficult time, but I mean, he's bounced back and boy, he's looking good.
Absolutely. He's pretty much done a 360 from what he was at a younger age. He started out really rough, as we all know. He was basically a enforcer for certain people in the streets of New York, and kind of like a collection guy. But he started out very young. He was lucky enough to be brought off the streets by a guy named Customato, who was his ultimate protege, and brought him into the gym, knowing that he had talent. He just was a little out of control. So they brought him in there, to say the least, a little out of control. They brought him in there and they sat him down and they basically said, you're a good kid, you got good morals, you seem to be strong, and you're pretty smart. You're not as dumb as they're making you out to be. And so this guy basically took him under his wing. Cuss. He lived at his house. They treated him like a son. And at one point there, we all know the first 10 fights were about more than 30 seconds combined. This guy knocked everybody out in the first 10, 20 seconds, 40 seconds. Guys were already knocked out before they got in the ring. They already convinced themselves they were dead, and they basically just hit the canvas, so they didn't get dead. So they needed a paycheck. It's a job. You got to do what you got to do, right? You got to do what you got to do. But they really did not want to deal with Tyson. They just didn't want to deal with him. At a young age, there, when the first couple of years, he did a lot of fighting, and then he got his shot at the title, and basically ate the guy for breakfast and spit him out on the canvas, right? So we know that was Trevor Berbick. He basically, unfortunately, he's a Canadian guy, and he was a good fighter for our country. Hey, Trevor, if you're out there, thanks, buddy. Always love you. But you're fighting Mike Tyson here, and you didn't look very good, Trevor. You really, I'm sure you've admitted this. It just wasn't your day. So anyways, after that, Tyson went along to basically eat everybody for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Nobody had a chance. And he got a little pissed off one time at Evander Holyfield, tried to bite his ear off. That was an interesting one. So now he turns into a cannibal or something. He wants to start eating his opponents. And then at the end of the day, he decides that nobody can beat me. I don't have to train. I'm amazing. Nobody's going to beat me. And then along comes Buster Douglas, and we know how that went, Mike. And you basically, at that point, that was the end of you, Mike. You basically were done right there, finished, out the door, completely bye-bye. Sure, you had a few fights, you'll admit it. You needed the money, man. Don King took you for, what, $800 million? And you spent the other $500 million. So what are you going to do? You got to go back and fight a couple times just to get some food on the table, I guess. I don't know, man. But anyways, so he decides to retire because he's getting beaten up by like a garbage man or something. The guy was like a plumber or an electrician they just brought this guy off the street, and Mike Tyson got his ass kicked. So that was the day he went, I'm out. I guess I better go do something else here because I can't box anymore. So he ends up he ends up changing his life right then and there. He got married again. He had some kids, da-da-da-da-da. He lives in a modest house, like a ranch-style bungalow. And he just enjoys himself now. He really does. Before he wasn't having fun. Now he's actually having fun. So he's doing like comedy stuff, and he's doing stand-up stuff. He's going around the world and talking about himself and making fun of. He's kind of roasting himself. because he's come to grips with who he is and what he's about, and he realizes he still has value in what he talks about and what he's involved in, because people gravitate to that guy, and we all know how amazing he was when he was doing his thing. So he's a worldwide ambassador too. At this point, he goes around the world and he tries to help. He's a humanitarian. I gotta like these kind of guys. You know what I'm saying, Graham?
Yep. He did have, the rough patch, for sure, and he did his time. But what I like about what he's saying these days is he's telling young people, basically, stay off the drugs. Those opiates are killers. And that got him messed up. He admits it. And, I think he's into the hemp growing business. I think he's got a company that has a CBD product. For,
That's great, Mike. I'm proud of you, buddy. Thanks.
yeah,
We all need that. That is an important thing in all of our lives. Get away from the pharmaceuticals and get on the proper medicines.
well said.